Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. We hit January. We're starting the new year, and to kick off, we're going to be doing another episode of Rank Chug. I know I promised once we got into the new year, we would get some the more you know moments, but time is tight, and when time's tight, we deliver out some Rank Chugs. Makes it just quick and easy to get some of these episodes up and out. Got a special one. It should be interesting. It's a breakfast type beer. At least I'm going to classify it as a breakfast type beer just from the flavor profile. Nothing wrong with a breakfast beer. But before we get that thing poured out, taste test it, and chug test it, make sure you're clicking on that subscribe button so you can stay up to date for the latest beer reviews and whatnot. For this week's review, we're going to the state of New York. Now, we kind of hit New York a lot. Live on the East Coast. I guess just kind of luck of draw with the breweries. I don't really check out the states before I pick up and purchase the beers. Completely random. Dealing with what I got for, I guess, distribution and everything else. But where we're going to be sampling from, this is from Ellicottville Brewing. And they're out of no other than Ellicottville, New York. It is their Blueberry Maple Pancake. It's a wheat ale brewed with none other than blueberry and local maple syrup from Sprague's Maple Farm there in New York. It clocks in at 7%. I'm hoping for this one we got a nice balance of the maple and blueberry flavor. Last week's is with our orange creamsicle. We got a lot more orange than we did of the vanilla. So it'll be interesting to see how this one sets up, see if we get a nice balance, or if the blueberry, the maple, what have you, really, or something else just pops out and dominates on the flavor profile. So we're going to go ahead and get this set up, get it poured out, and get it set up for sniff testing, taste testing, and ultimately the chug test.
I drink and I know things.
So we got everything all poured out, and it not much of a head that's set up on this, despite everything that is still coming up bubble-wise. It was there, very fleeting, and kind of dissipated, but it sets up with a nice, good, dark amber color. Once this bubbling chills out, it at least at the initial start, it had a good, nice, crisp color that in connection with it. With the wheat beer, I was kind of maybe expecting it to be a little bit more cloudy and whatnot, but this one, it is, despite all the bubbles that are still going on, it is a fairly clean and crisp looking beer. The initial pour that I got out of it, I kind of set up with that. So let's go ahead and give it the old sniff test and see what we get out for the flavor profile, smell profile, I should say. You can't smell flavors. If you can, more power to you. That would be a whole different set of YouTube video. I don't know if that would turn out well, but in any event, let's give it a good old sniff test. Right off the bat, I'm getting a bit of the blueberry and maple. Not one is really dominating. I guess if I would have to say between the two, it would be the blueberry. I get more of the blueberry than I get of that sweet maple smell that you get when you crack open some syrup. It's going to be interesting to see when we do the taste test, see if we get anything a little bit different, if they kind of balance out, if one is definitely continues, if we get the blueberry, we get the maple that is going to dominate, and there's only one way to find out. Let's give it the taste test, so bottoms up. So, right off of the bat, coming in, I am getting kind of a mixed bag. Definitely do taste the blueberries. They're pretty pronounced. There's the sweetness of the maple, and a little bit more on the back feel than it was prominent on the front. Definitely the initial hit is blueberry, and then there's a sweetness coming off of the maple syrup side of things. Nothing's really prominent is what I'm trying to say, I guess, in connection with this. I was trying to struggle as to where I was going with this, but it's fairly well balanced between the two flavors. We'll give it another sip, see if anything changes, because we know we get sometimes a little bit different flavor profile off of the initial. And yeah, it still pretty much kind of stays the same. There's definitely the blueberry is there with the maple syrup on the backside. Again, it's still staying the same. Blueberry is kind of staying up front, and the maple syrup kind of hits you on the backside. There's not a lot wowing, I guess, with these flavors. I guess I would like a bit more of a heavy beer to go along with it. But for what it is and what they had set it up to do, it does very well. It's decent beer. There's not much, I'm not getting any real kind of negative in connection with this one. Again, it's pretty well balanced, and it's doing what they set out to do. There's no misrepresentation on that beer label. We definitely get the blueberry, we definitely get the maple that comes on through, and it's a good kind of crisp beer. It to me, it does have kind of a little bit of a lack. I would like a little bit more robustness. And I think with these flavors, they definitely would have done well in, say, like a pastry stout, something a little more full-bodied for what they're presenting out for the flavor. Again, it does it very well. And because of that, we're going to give this one out a 4 out of 5. I think if this had been a pastry stout, it definitely would have been a solid 5 out of 5. But for what they're doing with the wheat ale, it's not bad. There's no nasty aftertaste. There's nothing really bad to it. The blueberry and maple definitely sets up very well, and it's good, interesting balance of that. Like I said, you get the blueberry on the initial, and you get the maple on the backside. At least that's where I got it. You might get something different. You might, I guess if you're more sensitive to one or the other, the only place where I would say this may not work for somebody, again, if you don't like blueberry, I would not recommend this beer. But if you have no problem with that flavor profile, go for it. It's a good solid beer. Hey, who knows? Like I said, it's got breakfast written all over it, so nothing wrong with a good breakfast with the beer. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is to do the chug test. I'm ready to go ahead and give this beer the chug test. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if either one of the two main dominant flavors of the maple or the blueberry come forward in the chug, or if both just kind of bam and hit you together. Sometimes when we get some of that, at least in the last couple that we've done, when we get real dominance of one flavor, it makes it a little difficult to kind of finish up the chugging. So I guess bottoms up. Let's find out if it will chug. Surprise, surprise. It will chug. There's always kind of the rush that's in connection with that, but the chug did pretty good. I was wondering which flavor would kind of dominate, and it was a bit like with drinking it that I got actually a little bit in reverse, I should say. I got more of the maple up front in this one. The blueberry kind of hit on the backside of the chug. I don't know why, but it just, that's what I tasted during the chug. It definitely is interesting with that, because every other just kind of swig was the blueberry followed with the sweetness of the maple and on the backside. This one, it was the complete opposite. No idea why, just is what it did. So again, there wasn't much wrong with this beer. It's set up pretty good set balance, for as a wheat beer, man, tongue tied. I'm going to blame the chug. But it's set up pretty darn good. The thing that would have put it over the top, I would like to have seen it done as a pastry stout. I'll have to look around and see if I can find something of that flavor. For this one, definitely set up pretty good. There wasn't much that we found wrong with it. Again, we clocked it in at a 4 out of 5. The only negative would be if you're not really a fan of blueberries. That's about all I could kind of think of in connection with this beer that would kind of persuade somebody from not having it. Whether you have it with breakfast, lunch, dinner, your choice. But again, it's got the breakfast qualities. So if you want it at breakfast, go ahead and have it at breakfast. I guess with that, I'm done. This is done. We're done. And I thank you again for tuning in to another edition of Bagel and Booze. And we'll catch you later. Thanks all.